Good morning. Happy Tea with Tamara Day. It is a Wednesday, May 13th. I have a calendar beside me, thank goodness, so that I can actually call up the days of the week. But today I actually wanted to talk to you about feelings and why we don't like the question, how are you feeling? You know that question, the question that you're like, why are you asking me that? I don't know. I'm not that clear on my emotions or my feelings. And this is a big deal. This is a big deal because for me personally, I numbed myself for my feelings as an empath and an introvert and somebody that was highly sensitive to what was going on in the world around me. I chose drugs and alcohol as a way to numb myself from feeling anything, right? So then when people started to ask me, well, how are you feeling? I'd be like, do I need to drink right now? Do I need to numb this? Like that question would cause an actual visceral reaction into me of like, feelings. I don't know. I don't know if I want to know. There's too many of them and I don't know which one's mine. And then there's often some of us who literally are told we're too much, you're too loud, you're too sensitive, you cry too much, you this, you that. And so we began the process of like, oh, well, I'm not even going to share my feelings because they're only made to be used against me. And so in these processes, we literally learn to ignore, silence, shush, push down, completely detach from our own emotions, from our own feelings. And this can carry on for God knows how long, most of our lives. I mean, I didn't start to activate having the sensations of understanding my feelings until my late 30s. I work with clients in their 40s who haven't touched on their emotions or don't know what they're feeling. I work on emotional intelligence with my kids right now, just as like a basis to plant the seeds. But they don't know what they're feeling. I mean, it is just something that we don't talk about. We, meaning not me, because this is my favorite conversation, because emotions and feelings tend to be the vibrational frequency that we're putting out that becomes our reality. So, I mean, even if we don't know how we're feeling in the beginning, emotional intelligence would say, well, it's a process, it's a learning. I didn't know how to ride a bike or drive a car, but I figured it out. I learned. I was willing to get curious. I was willing to be vulnerable. I was willing to not know in order to know, because when you have something that you desire, such as being able to be clear in your emotions so that you can shift your internal landscape and shift your vibrational reality that comes back to you, if you desire that, then we hold that as being, I wanted to drive, so I was going to do whatever that in between was to drive. I wanted to ride a bike, so I was going to do the in between stuff to ride a bike, even if it was uncomfortable, even if I fell down, even if I had to like dust myself up and be like, oh, I got a bruised elbow, or even if whatever it was in the interim, the learning, the curiosity. So I actually want to share it's like a 3-part process. And again, curiosity is key when we're getting to know ourselves deeply and our emotions, because emotional intelligence is just like if somebody were to say, how are you feeling? You would literally be able to share that answer. And how is that impactful and important? Because if you don't know how you're feeling, oftentimes we're taking it out in all the wrong ways. We're blaming other people. We are causing harmonies and things because something's happening inside us and we don't know what it is. And so we go into, that's a big one, Helen, Tulu, Mexico, going into all of these different ways of solving a problem. And so we actually lose a lot of energy trying to figure out how we're feeling, and we end up potentially creating conflict in our relationships and in our external world based on not knowing the answer to this question. So this is kind of a big deal, and it's today we're going to talk about a starting point. And so the first thing that happens is most of the time our emotions or our feelings can be brought about by a previous experience, something from the past, that something in current time we're experiencing, but something is bubbling up from an experience from our childhood or our adolescence, or even a year ago that we haven't dealt with, right? So in real time, we're feeling all these emotions, but truthfully, it's coming from another source, another place. And so in order to prevent a pattern or something that we're placing out as a vibration from happening over and over again, I'm going to teach you the fastest way to solve this problem. And again, if you know anything about me, simplicity is the key to life. It is the answer to all things. The less complicated we can make things, the better. I am super annoying in how simple everything can be. And I hope that you begin to love the annoyingness of the simplicity, because it's easier. And we're not taught easier is easy. We're taught, how do I make it that this is too easy? It's got to be way more complicated than this, right? No, no, it doesn't. Let's keep everything simple. So when you start to have some sort of experience in your physical body, or somebody asks you, how are you feeling? Instead of getting agitated or upset or, going like, I don't know, and, storming away or feeling that emotion and not knowing what to do, we pause. The pause is the first phase. So something's happening, you're feeling something stirring inside of you, or somebody asks you how you're feeling. The first thing we do is just pause, slow down, stop, pause. God, I love that feeling. Doesn't pausing feel good? So we pause. And then you ask yourself, what am I feeling? What is this feeling? And it's okay to not have the idea of emotions. My kids used to have a magnet on their fridge with all these faces of these emotions and this little window that they could move to kind of put on the emotion that they're feeling. And even working with a client the other day, we printed a sheet with the faces of all the different emotions, and she placed it where she could see it, because we're not in a place of understanding our emotions if we have turned them off, if we have numbed them. And so not having the clarity of which one to say is perfectly okay. And so having a guidebook or something to refer to isn't a bad thing. It's actually super supportive. And so you think about that. What is my emotion? What am I feeling right now? What am I feeling? So I've paused, and now I'm asking myself, what do I feel? Well, I'm not angry, because we know angry, we know happy, we know sad, we know the basics, right? But there's so many other. Am I frustrated? Am I overwhelmed? Am I joyful? Am I nervous? Am I, curious? There's so many to play in. So just get curious with it. What am I feeling? And then find that emotion or feeling. Maybe it's I'm frustrated. Let's just use that one. I'm frustrated. And then take a moment and say, frustration. That's interesting. How can I help you, frustration? What can I do for you? This emotion that I'm feeling, right? How can I make you feel less annoyed, frustrated? What can we do together here? So most of us don't often ask our emotions or feelings what they need, because we're afraid that they're going to say, something like take the day off work, or, don't talk to anyone in your life ever again, or all these big things. But if you stopped and you paused and you asked yourself what emotion you were feeling, and then just simply said to the emotion, how can I help you? What can I do to serve you, emotion, today? It could be something really simple. It could be can you just close your eyes for 5 minutes and breathe? I think that would really help me. Or it could be, can we go for a walk? Can we reach out to a friend? Can we hug somebody? And we're beginning the process of tuning in, turning in, responding to ourselves as being the most powerful creators of our life and experience. And so doing this 3-step process is you becoming the driver of your experience. And it's very powerful. And you may surprise yourself tremendously on what your emotion or your feeling desires from you. And it's a very, very powerful practice when you play in it. So the 3 steps to, how am I feeling if somebody asks you that? Pause. Don't say, I don't know. Pause. Let me think about that. How am I feeling? Right? And then get curious. I'm feeling, and then say something. Say something that feels close. Get curious. And then ask yourself, what does that feeling want? What does it need from me? And it's the same thing as when you're breaking a pattern. If something in your external world is coming at you and you are going back into the habit of responding in a way, but you don't know why you're responding that way, pause. How am I feeling? What does this feeling want from me today? How can I serve you feeling? How can we make this feel really good instead? And you may be surprised. Tune in, soul family, tune in. Your body Your emotions, them feelings, they be talking to you. I would love to know if you've ever done anything like this, if this feels scary or overwhelming or exciting, or what feeling does this video give you? That's a fun way to end the video. Get curious and write it in the chat box. I would love to hear how this viscerally creates some form of feeling and emotion in you. Did you see that one coming? Happy Wednesday. I look forward to coming back for tea with Tamara next week. Mwah. End live video.